You have one chance to make a first impression. Joey Aguilar in Tennessee had a great first impression to kick off the 2025 season. Aguilar got the ball to 8 different Vols, and the Tennessee defense came up with 5 sacks, one more than their season high a season ago. But despite how good they looked Saturday, they know they can look so much better. I'm Paige Dauer on Full Disclosure.
It's truly, honestly, it's a blessing, man, just to have a quarterback like that in the room.
Now, when I was in my instant reactions last night, I said Joey Aguilar looked sensational against Syracuse. Some of you said, Paige, that's a stretch, relax. I'm like, okay, maybe. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but when you look at it through the lens of what I was trying to express in that post-game report was, Joey Aguilar came to Rocky Top in May. 4 months later, he wins the quarterback job, and when you look to week 1 of the college football season, Tennessee looked a lot better than a lot of the teams that were out on the field, especially when you even compare it to other, Power 4 matchups when both teams are a Power 4 team. And then, you kind of looked at how the team looked in the game, specifically that 73-yard bomb to Braylon Staley. I mean, I even mentioned it Saturday. Tennessee only pulled off that type of play twice last season, and they did that in the second quarter of the game. The throw was sensational. The catch by Braylon Staley, the route running by Braylon Staley was sensational. The ability for the teams to pull off that play was sensational. Here's a couple of areas where I think the team can improve moving forward to maybe keep up the sensation and the how they're performing so far this season. And I think you could look specifically to Tennessee's third drive of the game. Joey Aguilar is waiting in the pocket. He sees Chris Brazzell on a crossing route to the right side, and as you're going through traffic, he kind of pops open and you see he's got 1-2 steps of separation. Joey Aguilar is able to get it right on the numbers. But what happens? Brazzell turns his head before he actually has control of the football, and he drops it. Right away, of course, he's tapping his chest like, that was me, that was me. But from a veteran player, you cannot afford to have those types of mistakes when it's so fundamental. When you look to, where the fundamentals lacked, it was specifically in that moment. But I think that's, again, where later in the drive you see where Tennessee and Joey Aguilar has a lot of confidence and he plays with a lot of composure, because the next play they get it to Star Thomas and he goes for, 13 yards, and then they get it to Braylon Staley and they're able to move the ball. I think it was another, 14 yards, and that was a 2nd and 6 play right there. But here comes another area where they could improve, and it's in their communication. Here we saw miscommunication. And Joey Aguilar, they did a ton of RPOs in this game. Star Thomas maybe thought this was another move where it was an RPO, but Joey Aguilar's anticipating to hand it off to Star Thomas. Star Thomas doesn't even look like he was anticipating taking the ball there. He actually doesn't get his body turned around until he's at or just across the line of scrimmage. So I think it's in those moments where you can see how new this team is. Like, Star Thomas is a new player as well. So I believe that's something that will get itself figured out as they get more time together. But it's in those moments where, okay, we got to build a little bit more connection. We really got to make sure that we're actually on the same page and that those types of plays don't happen, because what happens as a result, it's a fumble on the play and Syracuse gets the ball. When they finally got the ball back in the second quarter, it's that 73-yard bomb to Braylon Staley, and they were able to get that because they are a talented, confident, and mature team.
But don't get too down on bad plays. Everybody looks to me on the team, so I gotta keep that composure and just keep going.
What was so impressive about that 73-yard bomb to the house was, at the time, the game was 17-7, right? Like, it was early in the second quarter. The game was really pretty close. Again, Tennessee last season only had 2 such plays where a pass went 70 or more yards, and it came late in the season against Mississippi State, and it was an 86-yard bomb. I think it was to Dante Thornton, but it was against Vanderbilt, the last game of the regular season. Tennessee is doing that in the second quarter of the first game with a brand new quarterback and young wide receivers to Braylon Staley, who only had a handful of snaps a season ago. That's incredible to be able to do that. Sensational, dare I say. And that's where you see, like, this team has a lot of confidence, and Joey Aguilar has a lot of confidence in the talent that they have on the roster. I think that's why Josh Heupel was so smiley in the preseason talking about Joey Aguilar. And their ability to do that early in this game could be what separates them later this season. And I asked Josh Heupel about that 73-yard, play to Braylon Staley. Like, one, where'd you find the confidence to do that? 2, this is on the back end of Tennessee, giving up, that fumble, losing the ball. Obviously, Tennessee helps them out, but then Syracuse gets the ball back to get a touchdown. And here is, Tennessee marching down the field, or letting it rip down the field to Braylon Staley. And I think this is going to be a team where that's really a staple of the team.
It was good to see us hit some down-the-field shots today, and, that's got to be a part of who we are as we move forward. But Braylon played well. I thought all the wideouts handled themselves extremely well today.
Also linked the other episode that I had. If you missed it, please let this be a chance to hit that subscribe button, where I mentioned, Tennessee has already won in so many ways with Joey Aguilar being in the room. And they won even more with him being a competent starting quarterback for Tennessee. And better yet, it kind of goes back to the conversation I had with Joey's mom, Lydia, about, what is that final message? What do you hope happens, not only in this game, but this season?
Have fun. Yeah. Enjoy every single moment. Play who you are. He knows. We know how he plays. We know who he is. And we just tell him, be you, but most importantly, have fun. And just soak all of this in.
I highly encourage you guys give that a listen. But yeah, just a great conversation with Lydia heading into the game, and just what has that family ready to kind of attack this season. I think, you fix those couple of miscues, and, hopefully the team can get better on their fundamentals. And again, the game could have been a lot different had they connected on a couple of those plays, and had there not been a couple of drops. And, maybe when they were going back to Braylon Staley, which would have been like a walk-in touchdown, he was hoping to get a defensive pass interference, didn't get it. But there are so many opportunities despite those drops, and, Chris Breslow not getting his head turned around, where Tennessee is oh so close. Oh, so close. And I'm sure a lot of that will come to light over the next couple of weeks as well. But when we flip it to the Tennessee defense, and really where I think that they could improve, this game should have and could have looked a lot different in the box score if Tennessee was able to tighten up a little bit on third and specifically fourth downs against Syracuse.
100%.
And if you watched our Friday episode, Live Ball with VFL Todd Kelly Jr. from Harper Volkswagen, you probably remember me talking about Jonte Cook and the Tennessee defense really needing to be on their P's and Q's when it comes to Cook because of how versatile he is. They did a good job for, 80, 90% of the game, but there were a couple of times where Cook was able to go get his, and it could be, an example earlier in the game, it's a 4th and 10, and it's a crossing route by Cook, and he's able to go explode for 29 yards. Ricky Gibson able to hold off the touchdown, but then it's a 2-yard rushing touchdown on the next play. You could go to later in the game where they're able to get it to, I think it was like a 4th and 1 or something, and they're able to get that 1 yard, and then the next play they're able to go and get a touchdown. So there were several different scenarios where, whether it's a 4th and 10 or a 3rd and 10, Syracuse a number of times was able to make this game look a lot different by being able to go get those touchdowns. And if Tennessee's defense can, maybe get back to what made them so elite last season, and it was on those 3rd and 4th down stops, they are going to have to be able to do that against better opponents starting game 3.
We would have them in a lot of 3rd down situations, and whether that be defense or the D-line didn't get back there, or there was a busting coverage, I always felt like there was something open that shouldn't have been open.
I'm VFL Chris Brown. Experience the VW brand proudly being produced in the great state of Tennessee. Harper Volkswagen is a proud partner of Tennessee Athletics. Go Vols.
When we maybe look to where I think they could be lethal this season, it's in their pass rush, and it's in its secondary, right? We mentioned the 5 sacks earlier, but they also had 7 TFLs and 10 PBUs. They were all over the ball in this game, and that's what makes those 3rd and 4th down conversions by Syracuse so frustrating, because of how good they were in those early downs, just not able to maintain it. It could have been a lot worse, right? Alabama looked so lethargic in its game against FSU. Tennessee looked in early/mid-season form for the most part. They just need to be able to replicate that for a couple of more plays in each drive. And I think the game could honestly look a lot different. You could even go back to that defensive play I was talking about earlier where there was a miscue by Aguilar and Star Thomas. It's a fumble. Syracuse recovers it the first play from Syracuse. It ends up being an interception, and it's Colton Hood who's able to go get the scoop and score. And he says, it was like muscle memory.
I've been playing baseball since I was 6 years old, so when I seen that ball on the ground, it's just like picking up a ground ball in the outfield. I just picked it up and ran it in the end zone, so...
I do think because of how the team looked on Saturday, you could get eager to say that they could be a 10, 11-win season, but you have no idea really in week one how good or bad teams really are because there's a very small sample size. Syracuse and Stephen Jelly being able to really get some of those passes off despite having a couple of orange jerseys in his face was quite impressive. So they could end up being, a pretty good team, and then Tennessee's win ends up looking a lot better. But I think especially after they get to that Georgia game, we'll really see kind of what this team is, made of. And I think after that game against Georgia, you could be like, this could be a 10-win team. Again, like the return on investment that we talked about in the live ball with Todd Kelly Jr. on Fridays. But yeah, I'll be back later this week. Obviously, Heupel gets to the podium on Monday. We'll have much more coming up on their upcoming matchups, where they can improve and continue to grow throughout the season. But yeah, you can't go undefeated if you don't win the first one, and they were able to do just that against Syracuse. I'll talk to you guys later this week.
Your business can't afford the downtime that comes with a leaky roof. So whether you need a repair or a replacement, count on the professionals from McGuire Roofing and Construction. Your protection is our passion. We service and sell all types of roofs and have worked with some of East Tennessee's most recognized names. We have 25 years of experience and free inspection estimates, plus best in business warranties. Put an end to your roofing problems today by calling McGuire Roofing and Construction.